Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Why Abrahamic Traditions is Trying to Undermine Hindus, J. Lakhani. So, there's extremes in all ends. There are, there are good people in these traditions and there are bad. It's kind of terrible. I remember hearing, especially in Africa, that there's the extremes going of the Abrahamic traditions, just put it that way. It's really bad. And they kind of used to have it in America, and I wouldn't doubt that there's still some pretty extreme groups out there, but I think majority of them tends to be accepting for the most part. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past that they would be doing this kind of thing. Just kind of sad, generally speaking, but then also there are some good ones out there, so obviously we shouldn't necessarily categorize everyone under one column. But yeah, I'm curious as to hear what Lakhani has to say about this. So let's go ahead and get started. No CC, by the way.
I get so many emails, so many calls saying, Mr. Lakhani, conversions are taking place, abductions are taking place, women are being forced to convert throughout in India as well as in Pakistan, Bangladesh. Please do something about it, Mr. Lakhani. It's not allowed. Why do you allow this?
And in Africa as well, I've heard quite devastating stuff in Africa too.
Let me come clean. Why the Abrahamic tradition so keen to expand? First of all, I'm telling you very bluntly, Christianity is struggling big time in the United Kingdom.
Is it because they are in a decline in the Western world?
So they have no place to live, so they have to go to the third world where there is some gullible population that can be taken for a ride into believing Christianity. The thinking youngsters in the UK are moving away from Christianity in droves. All the churches are abandoned, check it out. So they, in order to protect their tradition, they are moving to the third world.
And one theory that I have why it's kind of leaving, and at least in America, is because there's a certain movement for gay rights, which really did push a lot of the churches. A lot of people have gay friends, and they saw nothing wrong with them, but yet they're saying, oh, there's sin. And when you know someone who's just really good and kind-hearted, and they just love another person because this happens to be the same sex, then a lot of people are leaving. That's the reason why I said some time ago in another video, I can't remember which one it was, that a lot of churches are now becoming more open and accepting of these things. It's kind of weird though, whenever you have this thing in your book saying that a man shall not lie with another man as he does with a woman, I believe is the phrase. I could only imagine what happens if you ask a priest this, and what will they say now? Especially there's a YouTube priest that I watch that seems to be very friendly, and they're in British, I believe. Britain, sorry, British. They're in British. But I wonder what he would say. He seems very friendly, very open, but now I wonder if they're going to start having their minds change about this, because if you continue to push this rhetoric and all of a sudden, you know, you have a best friend who's gay and you're like, oh, they're sinners, shouldn't be sinners, and it's like, that's not right.
And India loves spirituality, so they like to go to there. But how do they promote their tradition? See how nasty it is. You see, the one thing they do, the Christian missionaries did, is very simple. In one hand, bread, in another hand, Bible. If you want to eat, survive, go to good school, your children, adopt the Bible, convert. See? Now, you may think this is fair enough. In some way, they're still doing good to the poor people. Think about it. Their mentor, Christ, when he went first time to Jerusalem, to the temple, the Jewish temple, do you know first thing he did? He saw the money traders doing business in the temple. He kicked their tables away, saying, you are a den of thieves. These are the words he used. If you sell religion, you are a den of thieves. These are the words of Jesus. So now these Christian missionaries are going out doing the same thing, bread and Bible. So he must be saying, what the hell are these guys doing in my name? You see, Christ was a genuine person, a truly spiritual giant. And yet the way he's being promoted or presented, used for evangelical purposes, it goes against his teaching straight away. Just talk about the Christ entering the temple. And by the way, I must got a comment about some of the Hindu movements. I'm very sad to say some of the Hindu movements are doing the same.
Weird. Let me get to the Christian portion real quick. I've heard some people who do go to Christian missionaries just to convert people, not really to help them out. Some, not all. There are some that actually goes there and actually helps them how to get clean water and everything, and I really appreciate that, you know. And if they happen to want to listen to their religion, that's fine. Not to be forced upon them, obviously. And then, I was looking up Sri Ram, and apparently there's many ways to say it. I didn't realize there's. It's kind of weird. That's the word. That's the thing I'm starting to notice about Hinduism is the fact that there could be like multiple names for the same thing, and I'm not knowing that. But Sirama, I think Rahma was one of them as well. So I was kind of looking it up. Apparently, supposedly, if I remember correctly, it's a little bit earlier in the day. It's about the seventh avatar, I believe, of Vishnu. Is it Vishnu? Can't quite remember. But I did look at the wiki, and it said there are some groups of Hindu people who took it a little bit to the extreme of a certain phrase. I can't quite remember the phrase, and it's kind of a terrible thing that they did. I'm not sure. Again, I just kind of read up on it, and I'm like, and I just see the extremes again. Again, I don't think this is the majority. Much like any other. For the most part, most religions aren't necessarily extremes. They tend to be very much the exceptions. And I hate to see that, honestly. But then again, you look at human beings, whether they're religious or not, there's always extremes of them too. So they just so happen to be religious, and sometimes using that as an excuse to promote their own hatred.
They're turning Hinduism as if like a money-making machinery.
Mm-hmm.
They may mean well. Some people say, but some good is still coming out. I say, no. They must give up this idea of using religion for money-making. I give the best example. The example is the Ramakrishna movement. If you donate 100 pounds, say, give it to the poor, all the 100 pounds will go to the poor. Not a penny will go to any of the swamis or the administration cost. No, zero administration. It's genuine. They're not trying to make money out of it, turning it into a commercial enterprise, and that is how all temples should be run. Don't use them like a den of thieves, as Christ said, to a money-making opportunity. But some Hindu movements, I must say this very blatantly, in India and in UK, are turning their temple bodies into money-making machinery. This goes against the teaching of Hinduism. So anyway, this idea of Christianity coming through like this, the other tricks they use is very standard stuff.
Speaking about that thing, you look at if you want to look at hypocrisy at its best, look at mega churches. You'll find many of that in the United States. Churches that are so massive, they're so big. And I do remember seeing a show where these preachers, they interviewed them and they said, do you think it's wrong to be making this amount of money? And they're saying, oh no, in the Bible it says make many money or something like that. I'm like, oh man, they're supposed to serve the people, but yet they just taking all this money. They have mansions, they have private jets, and they have these big, really big churches, like massive. I guess a good way to explain it would be like Sadhguru's the temples that at least I reacted to, they seem to be, I think Sadhguru's temples may be slightly smaller than some of these mega churches. That's how crazy these people make money on there, and it's, I think, tax-free just because it's donated.
They will say, look, either you convert or you go to hell.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much it.
The fear and fraud. Now, this is, that can't be real. Why should somebody genuine should be sent to hell just because they doesn't embrace their religion? Why? It doesn't make sense whatsoever. That means this God is a very nasty fellow.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. And the other issue that is very worrying is this.
And that's also, again, I think I explained this before too, it's the sheer fact of that logic doesn't make much sense. It's not some person I would like to, if I were to worship, I would not want to worship a god, a deity that says that you must only worship me and ever me, and otherwise you go straight to hell. You burn for all eternity. Like, what? That sounds very petty. And well, that's basically it, really, honestly. And if you make one mistake, you go straight to hell too. And if you don't ask for forgiveness, you go straight to hell. And you have to spread your religion.
They say that if this idea of reincarnation that is at the heart of Hinduism re-enters the market, the whole theology collapses. Whole theology of Abrahamic tradition is do goody, eat, drink, burp, be a good Christian or whatever, and you end up in heaven permanently. You sorted yourself out. And suddenly this Jay is coming. Jay comes in with his Hinduism saying, look my friend, no heaven waiting for you. You come back in nappies. And the whole theology crashes. All the three Abrahamic traditions theology will crash if reincarnation resurfaces on this world, that is why they will not allow Hinduism. That is why they are so keen to undermine it. Because if Hinduism wins, all the traditions are killed out, destroyed. The other thing is exclusivism. We alone are right.
So all three religions would be destroyed because of reincarnation. I could kind of see that, because if there's no threat of hell or eternal damnation, then what's the point? But, and again, this is another thing that I do interestingly like about Hinduism, is the sheer fact that even if I don't believe reincarnation, but at least it's not a terrible thing. The kind of like either you're eternally damned or eternally blessed. Whereas at least in Hinduism, there's a redemption. Whereas even if you were a terrible person, you have a chance of redemption. You continue to live this life of suffering until you redeem yourself enough to go to eternal bliss. Which is much better than it's like, well, you screwed up once right before you died, even though you've been great throughout the entirety of your life, straight to hell.
Now Hindus say no, there are many different ways, and some can be non-religious even to be spiritual, and this will destroy their tradition because they say we alone are right, they alone come to Christ, to come to go to God, who come through Christ. All this is destroyed. So exclusive is compromise, idea of heaven and hell is compromise. How can they allow this Hinduism to enter? In fact, I'll tell you a funny story. When I was appointed at the head of the first Hindu tutor at Eton College, I thought next day all the newspapers will have my pet picture. It's this is Lakhani. Nothing appeared. So I asked the BBC journalist, I said, why didn't not a single man mention that the first Hindu tutor appointed by Eton College?
They're not interested in promoting Hinduism.
No. They say very simple, Mr. Lakhani, do we throw bombs? I said no, you won't appear then. See, it's the only way I can get into the BBC, make BBC do good documentaries about Hinduism, the art and the culture and the philosophy of Hinduism is if I throw bombs. Now, I'm not going to go down that line.
Well, I ain't lying about that one. I mean, you can even look at American news where, generally speaking, it's all just terrible things in the news. And the reason for that being, it makes sense, it's, you don't sit there and watch the news because, oh, look, there's the sunset, and oh, look, that's a good person doing over there. It generally doesn't get people interested because life in general is pretty boring. It's redundant, same thing almost over every day, and same thing over and over every day pretty much. Pretty reliable, and when you wake up tomorrow, you're going to wake up, you're going to do what you need to do if you have to go to work or whatever. But then whenever you hear crazy things that are not of the ordinary, that's what gets exciting. So that's what a lot of people stay tuned to. They watch in the news like, oh man, there's something going on here, let me stay tuned, let me watch it, let me see what's going on. And plus you want to be aware of the terrible things going on in your neighborhood so you know what to look out for. Do you need to know what's going on good in your neighborhood? Not really. I mean, if it's going good, that's great. I mean, maybe there's a party, I might take a look at it. But if there's something terrible, you want to know what's going on, because it's for your own safety as well.
But you see how poor things are. They're frightened of Hinduism, and they will only take notice of us if we become much more robust in the way we present ourselves. So that's what I keep doing on BBC whenever I get a chance. Anyway, these are the issues that kind of, in a way, come from the Abrahamic tradition. That's why I had to make a list. There's so many things that work me up.
Jeez.
One of the funny stories I must say. Once I was debating with a Christian minister. He said, Mr. Lakhani, we are not trying to convert. We're just spreading the good news. Yeah, lovely language. How can I stop somebody spreading the good news? So I said, oh, wonderful, but I'm very naughty. My response is equally naughty. I said, good, very good. You see, one Christian minister, he was head of London Interfaith Center, told me, Mr. Lakhani, Vivekananda speaks with the same authority as Christ. I said, good, you understood. He comes with the same dynamism as Christ. I said, then my issue is this. You see, Vivekananda was only born about 150 years ago. Mm-hmm. Christ was born about 2,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. So we got the latest edition of news from Vivekananda. And what they say about all news? All news is no news. So you want to spread the news, spread the modern news must be the latest. And the latest edition comes from Vivekananda, unfortunately not from Christ. This is my response. I have to be very robust sometimes and sometimes very cutting, in order to make sure that our tradition is preserved, its dignity is not undermined. Unfortunately, when I see the Hindu youth going against Hinduism, that is why I put on the red jacket, said, stop it guys, stop it, you have no right to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. there are going to be extremes in every aspect of religion, even non-religion. That's just humans in general, and it really sucks. It really does. I mean, I can't really explain it any other way. And I, we have extremes of religion, we have extremes of people, and those two just don't get along, don't go well together, but people do it. And then, I mean, what can you do? They turn, generally speaking, Abrahamic religions have tried to do better from their past. Obviously, in the past, every religion is trying to boost up their numbers to stay alive and relevant. And they did that in pretty horrible ways, don't get me wrong. But in modern times, for the most part, at least in developed countries, it's not necessarily an issue. It's not saying that it's not an issue at all, but relatively speaking, it's especially when you look at underdeveloped countries, it's a much less of an issue, which is a blessing in disguise. But nonetheless, we have to make sure we keep things in check. And I don't know. I mean, it's getting crazy in the United States, and it's not even dealing with religion. Ah, man. If it ain't one thing, it's another. Anyways, that's my reaction to why Abrahamic tradition is trying to undermine Hindus. Sorry. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.